When Captain America's mighty shield is stolen, Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson will need to accept help from a strange underground group of self-styled Captain America vigilantes to get it back. All this and more in the United States of Captain America issue number 2. Let's hop on in together and find out what happens next, shall we? Alrighty then, so as we rejoin the comic series that made all the Fox News vultures positively lose their minds, Sam and Steve are in Gettysburg, home to some of the bloodiest battles of the Civil War. Captain America opines if anything has actually changed in America ever since that war. It seems that brother is still very much fighting with brother, and that some divides just never seem to heal. What is interesting too, in a very humanizing flashback, we see that this isn't Steve's first time at the American Monument. He actually went there as a Boy Scout back during the 20s, if you can believe it, and he accidentally almost ended up desecrating the monument. Hey man, when you gotta go, right? Whether you're a superhero or not. Ozzy Osbourne peed on the Alamo, and we still love Ozzy. Sam and Steve think they may finally have found a lead on the doppelganger Captain America who stole Steve's shield. Apparently, a young woman dressed as Captain America was arrested after a water main was exploded somewhere in this town. Rightly so, Captain America thinks that this may be the female shooter who tried to kill Rail Rider at the end of the previous issue. As our two heroes quickly discover, this woman in question's name is Nichelle Wright, an Olympic-level gymnast turned community activist and vigilante. She's also a pretty divisive figure within her own community. Some people absolutely love her for all the work she's done crusading for clean water rights, making sure that other cities in America don't become like Flint, Michigan. And then of course you have your older, stuffier population who thinks that she's causing more trouble than she's actually worth. Now Steve Rogers knows a vibranium shield's handiwork wherever he goes, and he realizes that this water main was actually beaten on at super speed by his shield, meaning that that doppelganger Captain America was the one who blew it up and not this Nichelle woman. Speaking of shields, with the original article missing right now, Sam and Steve have actually had to go out of their way to arm themselves with some new stuff. Sam actually has a black shield that was given to him by Misty Knight, who was actually his love interest over in his own Captain America series, and I wonder if they're actually still together now. And as far as Steve goes, without his trademark weapon, he's decided to dust off an old classic courtesy of Tony Stark, the Hollow Shield. Ooh, I love it when they bring back the Hollow Shield. Both our two Caps end up getting a workout when the speedy doppelganger once again ends up showing up looking for a fight. It seems that they haven't left town, meaning whatever evil scheme they have planned, it's not quite done yet. Here's the thing, Speedy Doppelganger isn't alone either, as the female shooter from the end of the previous issue also shows up. She's also clad in quite a patriotic costume too that I cannot help but feel reminds me way too much of Super Patriot, the Image Comics character. The fight itself is fairly brief, but Steve and Sam think they may finally have been able to connect the dots now. Whatever the fake Captain America and the gun-toting assassin woman are after, it's clearly connected to this underground network of Captain America's. After all, Rail Rider's train was derailed by the speedster, and now this Nichelle woman just so happened to be framed for the blowing up of a water main. This means Steve and Sam have to make trails to the police station to try and talk to this woman before the doppelganger decides to finish her off. The cops in this town are less than helpful. They don't like Nichelle. Apparently her brand of community activism and community policing has been really bad for corrupt small town cops like them. And as such, they're more than happy throwing the book at her and letting her take the fall for all the crimes that the doppelganger Captain America made. This ticks off Sam Wilson, who ends up throwing the police chief through a wall. If that seems a little overly aggressive for Falcon, don't worry, him and Cap both agree that if those villains managed to get here first, they probably would have tried to kill all the cops anyway. At least this way he's alive and his ego is in check. Sam and Steve make their way to the cells to try and break Nichelle out. Now here's an interesting thing about Nichelle. Unlike Aaron, who took the name Rail Rider while having a costume modeled after Captain America, not only is her costume modeled after Captain America, but she's just straight up taking the name too. If I may indulge though in probably one of my pettiest criticisms ever, I don't like her costume because it's got the whole one leg covered by fabric and one leg not covered by fabric thing going on. It reminds me way too much of the early wrestling gear of Zack Ryder. Is this like some gymnast thing I don't know about? I'd hazard to guess it was. Another interesting thing about Nichelle is, unlike Rail Rider, who when he got to meet the current Captain America in Steve and a former Captain America in Sam, he was just fanboying all over the place. Nichelle, on the other hand, is actually a little dismissive, maybe even standoffish. Oh, she loves Captain America and, owes the world to him for the inspiration, but at the same time, she feels what her and the Captains, the official name given to the underground community of Captain America-styled vigilantes, are doing is so much bigger and important than just what Steve is doing every day, fighting aliens and Hydra. Now, Nichelle is barely out of herself for a minute when the doppelganger Captain America and his female sidekick end up shooting up the police station. Nichelle, showing that there's no hard feelings between her and the corrupt police chief, actually gets him out of the line of fire. Steve hops on in and uses his hollow shield to good use, absorbing all the bullets before the lady eventually runs out. The two trade barbs back and forth for a bit, before the mysterious villain lady ultimately decides to monologue about her evil plan. Apparently the reason her and the doppelganger Captain America have been targeting members of the Captain's group, and stop me if you've heard this one before, they want to attack the very image and symbology of Captain America to remove him from the hearts and minds of some of his most devoted followers. So basically the same plot that every Captain America big bad has had for like the last 8 years. The bad guys ultimately end up making a tactical retreat, which leaves Sam, Steve, and Nichelle alone to talk it out. Surprisingly, one of the biggest reasons that Nichelle is actually treating Steve with such an icy reception is actually because of his treatment of Isaiah Bradley. Yeah, the young patriot and member of the Young Avengers team. Essentially, she thinks because that young black man didn't get a fair shake at the Captain America stick, there's no way that Steve, or even Sam for that matter, would give her a fair shake. In fact, she says that's why her and the rest of the captains are so devoted to protecting their own small communities. Basically, battling problems at a grassroots level, the kind of problems that Captain America would probably be too busy to deal with, what with all of his big superhero Avengers business always pulling him away. Now, as the comic comes to a close, we check back on in with the two mysterious villains who have been dogging our heroes all throughout this story. One of them removes his mask to reveal that he's actually Speed Demon, the lame speedster Spider-Man villain. Now, if this all seems way too complicated a plot for Speed Demon, you would be right, and that's because the mysterious lady assassin is actually revealed to be Sin, the Red Skull's daughter, who in a very surprising and very welcome addition is actually continuing her character growth and evolution from the end of the Ta-Nehisi Coates run. She says she doesn't want to be called Sin anymore, for she is now superior. And so that was the United States of Captain America issue number 2, everybody, and while I positively love all the outrage merchants of the world losing their minds over this story, as someone who actually read the book and actually possesses reading comprehension, I still pretty much feel like how I did at the end of issue 1, and that is this Chris Cantwell story it's alright. My biggest complaint continues to be is that it just doesn't feel all that much different than the last 7 Captain America runs that I've read. That's not to say that it's bad or that there's anything wrong with it, I just expect a little bit more creativity from Cantwell as a writer and creator. I appreciate that all the different members of the Captain's Underground are different, approach fighting crime in their communities differently, and that at least in this case, Nichelle wasn't actually a big Captain America fangirl. Oh sure, she liked him and what he stood for, but she also felt she could do it better. As a longtime comic fan too, I can also appreciate the invoking of the Bradley family legacy. It feels like Patriot and all of those related characters kinda got left on the back burner. In fact, here, Cantwell basically throws down the gauntlet and says it's bullshit that Nick Spencer retired the character off panel the way he did. And if he does feel that strong, I actually hope that means Isaiah Bradley can show up in this series down the line, especially now as the Bradley family is probably more popular than they've ever been thanks to the TV show. My only other minor complaint is that, well, Cantwell kinda writes Steve to be extra corny. I mean, yeah, he is. He's literally a man out of time from the past. But there's moments where he, and for that matter, Sam too, almost dip into straight up self-parody. It's nothing I would call a deal breaker, but it's certainly something I noticed. Overall, I would give this one another 7.5 out of 10. It's certainly interesting enough to keep me reading, that's for sure. Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.